Dude, Apple products, man.
Hello, hello.
We're
We're
live.
live.
I think so. Every time I
So-
switch, it changes my audio to be the computer, but I can hear you. Can you hear
Oh,
me?
yeah, I can hear you, and it just popped up in my YouTube. So
Awesome. Well, here we are, another lovely quarantine Tuesday in the greater New York City area. We have some scattered thunderstorms today at a high of 55, a low of 35 degrees, and 100% chance of humidity, according to my Apple Watch.
what's a barometric pressure?
No.
On YouTube, I only see us. I don't see your screen.
That's because it's just us right now because I'm in control.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah, did that on purpose. You gotta start off with a nice little close-up of us, you know?
I forgot that I'm working with true professionals here.
True professional, man. We gotta show everyone your haircut.
Quarantine haircut.
Your quarantine cut. Looks good on you. Yes, sir. All right. Oh man, I just got. As soon as I switched that over, I just started hearing a crazy feedback thing with a built-in microphone. We don't want that. We want 94. I wonder why that just started happening. Okay, maybe that was better. All right. Hopefully that's all good. Let us know if there's any audio problems. Otherwise, let's get to it. So what the heck are we doing today, man? I will. I got a little impatient, I have to admit. I just wanted to work on this a little bit and move it forward, in between our stuff. So hello, Robin. Hello, Beth. Nice to see you all again. And I really had another use case for it come up, so I wanted to use it. And so I felt like what was the fastest way to get something I could use. And so I shipped it. And then I used it. And it felt pretty good. So I think I'm going to use it again. It's all the good feels. So the first thing was that we had been doing this for a couple weeks now, and so we had this long-lived branch, which was total bummer because it was building in the PR, and then it wasn't ready to merge, so it had a conflict. So that was my first thing of just saying like, all right, this has got to stop, because it just wasn't. It was just going to get worse, right? The longer we put it off. So I was trying to think, what was the fastest way we can tidy up what we have, ship it, get it behind on the website. First, I was like, we'll put a feature flag on it. But then I was like, why? Let's just put it at /REPL and not have a link to it anywhere, And we can be a little selective with who we share it with. So that's what I did. And then it was nice because I started to break down what was next in order to get it to be able to share it and use it for my first use case. So, I started adding some tests, REPL.spec here. And, I broke this up into some different contexts, loading the REPL, editing the config, and making a request. We had, it shows the JSON response after submitting. And then we had, it shows a parsing error, it can recover. I think we had these. And then I basically filled in like these two and this one. And I was like, this is what I need to ship to be able to get it to use for answering a support question. So it was pretty cool, man. Yeah, it was really nice because this is a big project and it always felt like, what's the next step? And this is what we normally do if we were working on normal software day to day, right? Is break it up. They're saying they can't see you, buddy, or they can't hear you. Skype volume level not available. Skype audio is currently being broadcast along with your Mac system audio. The Skype volume slider and mute button are not available. To adjust it, stop broadcasting system audio or change Skype speaker settings. I wonder if I need to change my input or my output to Ecamm Live app audio. And oh, I think I might have just fixed it. Can you say something, Ryan?
Yeah, test, blah,
yeah,
blah, blah.
It's very loud. I'm going to turn it down a little bit here. Hopefully that fixed it. Let us know. Definitely can share. Okay. See, cannot hear Ryan. Okay, what about now? Is he back? Here, Ryan, say some things.
Test. Hello.
It's really loud. It's like really hot for me for some reason. It's after you switched the source. Your sound was suddenly way clear, but Ryan's was gone.
Yeah, I can hear myself on the stream now, and I couldn't before. So I think whatever you just did fixed it.
Okay, cool.
And I sound okay. I mean, yeah.
Okay. Okay, sweet. Cool. We'll have to do some testing with this later because it's just strange how it changes it, how I hear it. But I think we're good now. Cool.
Robin, we don't have a uses link, but I think that would be good for us to set one up because we've gone through a lot of iterations of this stuff.
Yes, and we're still learning.
Yeah.
Cool. So, yeah, this was good to break this down and figure out what's the smallest thing we can ship. And so, yeah, that's what I did. So I just was like, what do I need to in order to be able to share a REPL with someone? And I need to be able to load it from the URL, and then I need it to track changes. And then I had this thing where the URL has a maximum length of 2,000 characters, so I wanted to make sure if we go too long, then the REPL shows you. So you can see here, like, if we were to do, some crazy string here, then eventually this should show us a message. Your config's too long, won't be serialized in the URL, and it just goes back to REPL here.
Cool.
But once it's within the limit, which is a lot, it gets you pretty far. This is pretty cool. Basically, if I remove all this, you'll see here, kind of as you type.
It starts changing. Very cool.
It starts changing this. So.
And are you using? Is there like a push state routing API that you're using, or are you doing like window dot location stuff yourself?
I'm calling if the URL length is less than 2,000, then I'm just navigating to the URL based on the stringified query params.
And replace true, I assume, like doesn't add an entry, so the back button still works.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly.
Very nice.
So yeah, that was that, and it felt really good about using the tests. Couple other things I ran into. So,
hey, what a question mark? I've never seen that.
That is the nullish coalescing operator, and It's basically or, except it only checks for null or undefined. So there's a couple new operators in JavaScript that have to do with nullish values. So anytime you see the word nullish, it means null or undefined. So that's why it's null-ish, because it's either null or undefined. So any value that is null or undefined is nullish, whereas falsy, both null and undefined are falsy, but so is the Boolean value false, as well as the value 0.
Oh my, an empty string.
And empty string. So that's what that's about. So
so like you could have a config. It could be an empty config rather than a null config.
what are these, all the falsy values? So like this is nullish values, and it's a subset of falsy values, right? So all nullish values are falsy, but the opposite is not true.
Cool.
So a lot of times people do things like, I want the config input to be, if I have the config from query param, it'll be that. Otherwise, it'll be this. Otherwise, it'll be this. But this will short circuit if this thing is falsy, but that's not really what you want, because sometimes you actually want it to be false. False is different from undefined. So yeah, basically everywhere you would use this or thing, you should most likely be using this instead now.
Cool. And this Gatsby just babbles out the right stuff.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Very neat.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, okay, so I had this interesting thing happen where I was doing use tutorial snippet right here. And before I had all three of these, I had like refactored this. So this default starting config is what we load if you just pull up /REPL. And so it's this default config that you get right here. And this comes from a hook and use tutorial snippet. And I had done this where I said, let the config input be the config from query param or use tutorial snippet starting input. And the problem with this is that it's actually conditionally calling a hook.
Yeah.
And it was really, really hard to figure that out because it something about it wasn't able to tell me. It just wasn't very clear.
Hey, if you change those question marks to like or, do you get a linting error?
No, that was the other thing that I went down. So like if you were to make a use effect, let's say that like has let x and does like console.log x right here, right? And let's go ahead and import. I don't know why that doesn't work sometimes. I just spent all this time getting this working. Okay, use effect. So this is fine. And then if I do this, you'll see here I get this linting error that says has a missing dependency, right?
Yep.
So the linter is all set up, right? So now check this out. If I were to do
like do an if statement. Yeah.
Something like that, right? So like you would totally expect the linter to be able to catch this, but it doesn't. It doesn't catch it. Weird, right?
Yeah.
And that's like a super simple case compared to like what I was doing. It's I mean, this should never be in the body of a if block at all.
Yeah. Yep. Once you enter a component function, yeah. If you like were to look at the AST that comes out of this.
So we should get an error pretty soon here. So yeah, Uh, update effect implementation. Let's see.
Yeah, it's probably one of the things becomes an effect, and then it becomes a state.
So it's loading right now. It's going to swap. Okay, so here we go. React has detected a change in the order of hooks called by default. This will lead to bugs and errors if not fixed. So this is the problem. It tells you exactly what's happening, but it doesn't tell you, well, this says app.js 452. The problem is, guess what app.js 450 line 452 is? Just take a guess.
Like the outlet or something.
Yeah, so maybe it's our fault. But I think I even did it up here. I don't know. It's just basically, yeah, it's like, okay, it's happening somewhere in your code. So eventually I found it, but it was pretty tough. And yeah, that was the first time. That was the first time that the rules of hooks actually mattered. And I had
they bit you.
They bit me. Yeah, that was the first time. Because every other time has been like the dependency thing that we've just been able to see straight from the ESLint error.
Yep. Well, you made it a year. Good luck. Good luck in Vue.
Yeah. Exactly. Also, by the way, most confusing API ever. So you have the base 64 encode the string, like basically this this URL here. So it starts off blank if we're just at the default, and then as soon as we start editing this, I'll change this. It's going to take this entire thing here and turn it into this string, right?
Yep.
So the way you do that is with these A to B and B to A functions.
Yep.
Binary to ASCII. So what do you think is binary and which is ASCII?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that the config is binary because that's the thing that we need to turn into a shareable format. We need to serialize the config.
So why is this in binary? I would think that this is binary. This is not binary. This is ASCII.
I would say that that's ASCII because binary is not easily shareable because I'm going to explain this poorly, but because of like the encoding, right? There might be like a weird character that you can't represent in a URL, such as a I don't know,
curly
like
or something.
Not even a curly, like
a new line,
like a character 13 or a character 0, something that we don't have a way to represent in a shareable string. So I would imagine that you have to turn you have to turn the config into a line of ASCII because we know that that is shareable because we know that that's serializable, and then we can send that.
Yeah, that's correct. I just don't. Okay. To me, it's just very confusing. Like, I guess what's the way to think of binary data is like a Photoshop document. Basically, it's like
it doesn't map to, like, if you look at like integers to ASCII characters. If you just pull up a website that has like integer to ASCII characters, like every ASCII character is represented by an integer, and because it's binary, you're going to have bytes in that data that have, for example, find a weird one. There's going to be
decimal value.
Yeah, or 13. 13's a good one. Carriage return, right? So carriage return. So if you look at it, carriage return is going to be, if you represent that as a byte, it's going to be like 0000 whatever 1101, something like that. And so if you represent that as a byte in a binary thing, I can't really share that with you because if I could pasted that into a text box, it would show up as a carriage return. And so I don't know, you might not be able to copy it out. There's others here like escape. How would I share the escape byte with you? That might be that's a better one. That's a better one because like you could always copy out a carriage return out of a text editor. But how would I share an escape with you? So if like my Photoshop document has like, if you were to just look at the binary, if there's like that sequence of bytes that are represented by the escape character, I can't share that with you in a text box like through an email. So what I have to do is I have to take that sequence of bytes and turn it into something like ASCII that's safe to share.
ASCII is made for always being Is that what ASCII is for? Standard code for
No,
information
because
interchange.
oh,
So
maybe.
ASCII is about sharing.
I guess, but like there are ASCII things that I can't represent over email. Like I think there's like an ASCII code for like bell. Yeah, number 7. That's like bell. That's like when your terminal beeps at you. That's like an ASCII code that your terminal program is
Made a
like
noise.
outputting. It's doing like console.log, like char bell, and that's what makes your terminal, instead of like printing a bell emoji or bell icon,
Yeah.
it makes a beep instead. But I can't represent those with you in a URL, so that's where base 64 comes in. It's like 64 characters that are shareable, and I can turn any sequence into.
I see. Well, I found it confusing, but that was very informative. Isn't Ryan smart, everyone? Ryan's so smart. That's why I keep him around.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know how much of that I was off.
No,
by,
that was
so.
pretty good. I think I need to read more about it because I really there's a huge gap in my understanding. But basically, binary to ASCII. So ASCII is a target, is like what's going to end up in the URL. It's like a shareable format. And you want to think about like the source as like binary data. It's in like the raw, uncompressed, like unstringified version.
It basically, you want to share a Photoshop document. So the Photoshop thing is a good example.
Got you.
And the Mirage config is like, yeah, it's pretty shareable because it's just text, but we can still serialize it and not have to worry about
weird characters.
Like special characters, like whatever.
You know what I would have called this if I was designing JavaScript?
What?
I don't know. Maybe base 64 encode and base 64 decode, you know? I don't know.
Yeah.
Just cross my mind. Might make it a little simpler. There's like a bunch of questions on Stack Overflow about how to remember this. Anyway, so between that and the hook order issue, I lost some time.
So I'll just one more comment on this. When I first found these A to B and B to A functions, I didn't realize it was like ASCII to binary. I just thought like ATOB. Like ATOB. Like that's like represents something. Like I don't know.
Yeah. That's something else a lot of people said. I was like, I was pronounced as ATOB and BTOB.
Yeah.
Or VTOA or whatever. All right, enough of that. So that's where I ended up. The last part was I was telling you about earlier. It all worked locally, but then I had an issue where because we do this check right here, config input, we first check if it's from the query param, then we check if we have it in local input, which we only use if it's beyond 2,000 characters, and then we fall back to the default starting config. So there's 3 possible like sources of truth for the config. What would happen is in production, because it's server rendered, when this component rendered on the server side, there was no config from query param because there was no query param. Because when it's rendered, it just renders it at /REPL, right? So the server rendered version had put the default starting config in as the source doc for the iframe, and then when React hydrated on the client, it got it from the query param, and there was a mismatch, and it didn't like update the iframe, and so you had the Mirage server running with the old config, even though the new config was in the text box. And as soon as you change one character, it synced it up. But it was that bug on initial render, and I was so confused because it was working in my tests locally. Then I realized to run the tests against the Gatsby build and serve as opposed to Gatsby dev. And it's so cool that in Cypress you can do that, by the way. That's amazing.
Yeah, that it's disconnected from things serving your app. Yeah.
I mean, we've never done that in Ember, have we? Run a test suite? I think you can. I think some people have done it, but we never ran the Ember acceptance test suites against the production build of the Ember app.
Correct. Yeah. I don't think I ever have. And if I did, I would look for a tool that was like outside of Ember, maybe like Selenium. Yeah. Something that's like that really treats Ember as a black box.
Yep. So I thought that was really, really cool.
Nice.
Cypress is really cool in this way.
That's good that you found. It's good that you found that helpful, because every time I'm setting up the package JSON for like run versus open versus run and serve versus open and serve, I often wonder like, man, am I just overdoing this? Is this like Yagni?
Well, I ended up
Um,
just, I was getting confused and it kept doing the wrong thing. So I just ended up copying a command like this and changing it. You know what I mean?
oh, very cool. Very
And
cool.
just doing it
Yeah,
from the command line.
because the Gatsby development is 8,000, but the Gatsby serve is 9,000.
Yeah. And it defaults to 9 over here with Cypress JSON. But anyways, it all worked out. And so it's funny because like the PR passed and we merged to master, right? And the thing is, my tests actually did run in the PR build on GitHub against the build. So I actually just didn't have good tests because when I had this test right here that said it can use a base64 encoded query param for the config's initial value, and I passed this guy in, and then I asserted that the text should be this, which was the custom thing, right? And that all worked. And that actually still worked, but that wasn't the bug. The bug was when you try to make a request, do you actually see the data? So once I added this, a little bit more assertions to this test, then I got the failure on 9,000 and I fixed the bug and then it all worked. So that's pretty cool.
That's trippy. So you're like looking at the new config, but the thing in the iframe is the old config. So you're like, why aren't my requests?
And the initial render was working when I was doing Gatsby develop since there was no server side rendering. But it took me a while to think about it. But now it's like, we just have to remember when there's stuff on production, it's like, because I was like, oh my God, this is a production thing. Is it a browse? Oh, also like Safari was working differently. And I was like, what? This is going to be a nightmare. But just remember that it's the server side rendering issue, right? So because Gatsby, it's probably related to server side rendering and rehydration. That's like the first thing that we should try to remember to just go to when we run into stuff like this. But
that's good. It seems like a lot of times it is always that. So good.
Yeah, exactly. But once I added this, it also fixed the Safari issue. I was super stoked about that. And I shared in Discord here. It's funny because I'm going to want to fix this just for aesthetic purposes as soon as possible because these URLs are ridiculous. But I thought it was cool. I got it done, and I used it.
Yeah.
So that was neat. But someone had a question and I shared it right here. So I wanted to see this custom ID manager and I shared it with him. And it just pulls this up right here. And he wanted to see how to make integers as IDs. And you have to make this custom identity manager thing, which is kind of weird, but that's what you do right now. And you set it up as your identity manager in your server. And then if you say, let's do a get to /users, you'll see that the IDs are all integers. But if we didn't have this, and you do this, the default is to make them strings. So you can just see right there, just like that. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Isn't that neat?
So this is super cool. So I have like a list of like, I don't know, 15 or 16 questions like this that people have asked.
Yeah.
So it'd be awesome to see how many of them I can answer in using this.
Yeah.
And I think all of them.
Yeah. And then we're going to be able to start, having a list of all those examples somewhere. GraphQL, boom, just do it right here. It's going to be really cool.
I have a question on the GraphQL thing. In the GraphQL server, you like import GraphQL from GraphQL.
Yeah.
And that is going to do the parsing. How we don't have like a package JSON.
No, but I think it just works because of
like the unpackage or JS.
Yeah. So I think if
PM.
I think if we did this, so
nice.
This is like a GUID thing. This is actually wrong. This is like v4 as this from this package. I was messing around with this before. And then if we were to do right here, let ID equals this thing, and then do this. Look, boom, just worked. Isn't that awesome? So I just imported UUID and the tool we're using, Plunker, knew to get it from npm.
Ooh.
And there we go. Boom. Now I have a URL I can share with someone how to make GUIDs. We can link this right here in the docs. You can just click on this and you can just see it working right here and toy with it. Isn't that awesome?
I literally think this is one of the questions that someone asked, and that this is it.
Yeah.
Can you share? Can you
Yeah.
can you save that link for later?
Yes. We should just add it. We should just be adding these to the docs like all over the place, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just gonna actually I have it in my. I got this new little thing here, clippy thing. So boom, I'm gonna have that for later.
Oh. Awesome.
Yeah, pretty sweet though, right? There it is, right there. I didn't even have to make the request. I can just look in the database and see the IDs right there. It's pretty awesome. I'm super excited about this thing, man. It's gonna help. It's gonna help with learning and debugging and sharing examples. I think that I always forget about the database tab. I think we should actually make it more like either split screen or like in the bottom part of this or something like that. But
yeah, put some emojis around it.
There you go. Yep, Plunker as the evaluator. That's right, and it just it does the stuff at runtime. I literally don't have to configure anything. There's no server running. It's all doing it client side. Literally every time you type in this thing, Plunker reevaluates the entire thing, pulling in all the dependencies from unpackage. But unpackage is caching it. Your browser's caching it. So far it's working, and so we're gonna see how long we can get away with this because it's pretty cool. All right, man. Let's work on something. I say we pick off a really small chunk of something and see if we can ship something. What do you say?
Yeah, I have. But tell me if you think this is a good idea, because it might not be. But when you first pushed this thing, I went to check it out, and just like reload this with no config. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing I did is I came here, and it was like, this is awesome. But I don't know, my eye immediately attracted to the send button.
Yeah.
And I just went over there and I clicked it, and nothing happened.
Yeah, that's exactly what Nathan did when I showed him.
Nice. So I don't know,
Yeah, I think that's good. So a couple ideas. First is we could just, if we're going to default with this config, we can just default this to /users right there, so that when you click send, you see this. Second thing, yeah, because this is not clear that this is even a placeholder, right? Second thing, which I did when I shared the link on Twitter, was to just add some comments to the default thing. So I think that's a good place to start. Try adding, API users over there, and then pressing send, right? So that would be like, we can do a little tutorial in the comments or whatever as the default thing. So that's another thing. But I definitely think, regardless of that, we should probably do both. But for now, let's do this. Let's do this guy and get this working. So let's talk about the feature here. So of course we can default this to /users, but if you load a custom config, you might not want that. So let me see if this is, I'm just curious if this is working, because this should be a syntax error. There's some errors that we should, oh yeah, the errors aren't showing up in Safari. That's another thing. Actually, I'm going to make a note of that. So I opened up a new Mirage.js/site/issues. Robin said, can you default to the first detected route configured in your config? Well, the thing is, I think I want to make the routes shareable as well. So if you want to share something with the route already in there, I think the easiest way to do it would just be to throw it in a query param.
Yep, I think you're right, because a lot of times I get asked when I'm posting this, when I'm hitting this Mirage route with a post with this post body, the data isn't getting saved.
Yeah, exactly.
And, that would be awesome to share.
Exactly. Errors like runtime or parse errors aren't showing up in Safari. Also, if anyone watching wants to help with the REPL, this is all open source, and you are more than welcome to do that, especially because I want to start making small issues like this. So see right here, this is what I expect to see. I don't see that in Safari, but we see at least an error message here.
Mm.
Okay, so yeah, we had this idea also like this could be a drop down, of all the routes that are configured, which could be pretty cool too. Um, you could type it, but it could also like when I click here, it just shows me the routes that we have registered. And if it was a dynamic route, it would be like slash post slash colon ID, and then you can just can highlight that or something cool like that and let you edit it. Um, that'd be pretty neat.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so let's talk about this. So one option is to literally tie this to a query param. So in the same way that right now the config is synced to the config query param, we can sync the URL with the query param. So if you share it, it will come filled in, and then as they start changing it, it will sync with it. And so if they were to copy the link, it will have the URL pre-filled to whatever they had it last. The other option is to be able to share it with an initial value for the URL. So if you wanted to share it with the URL as /users, you could set it as the initial value, but then they start changing it and it doesn't update in the URL.
I kind of like serializing everything. I look at this as like one app. It's not just the config, but it's the entire app.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I wouldn't want to have to build something and then say, oh, okay, do this, do a post request.
Well, right. But it's more like what I was thinking of is how Code Sandbox works, where when you are in a sandbox, then the URL is like the project. You're saving it in the background. And then when you want to share it, you press this button and you get to say like, if it would be more like this, embed. So here you get to configure the appearance of the link that you're sharing. And you get to say like, do I want app.js open? Do I want this open or that open? And so, that's kind of where I'm thinking we're going to work towards, because I think eventually there's going to be too much state in here that you don't want to do. You can't do everything to the URL, let's say. Maybe once we have a backend and we can save like a JSON file that does sync up with like everything, but there might come a time where you want those two things to be different, right?
Yeah.
For example, like a history of requests. Like maybe I want to send you a REPL with like 3 requests that I want you to try, but I don't want every time I'm just tinkering around and pressing send to automatically append to the history, right?
Right. There's a lot of unnecessary. Yep. A lot of unnecessary data there. And then if we have like a database, is that like new entry is
exactly
every time someone presses a send button?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
I think
to
so
start
I buy that, but I think that the history is less important than the actual first request.
Right.
I think that most Mirage apps are going to be given this server and this request, here's the output.
Right. Yep. Cool. So I agree. Let's do method and URL and add those as query params.
Cool.
I think we're going to get to make a cool little hook too, because when I was trying to debug this and I thought it was an issue with navigate, then because this was the weird thing, dude. So this was why this was so hard. Remember I explained how this caused that issue with the multiple hooks, the rules of hooks thing? If I took away navigate right here, it fixed it. And that's because this caused the URL query param to update, which caused this to be called conditionally. So I kept thinking I was doing this wrong, where like, I just want to update a query param with reach router. How do I do that? And I just tried navigate, but you can't find an example on the site, the docs site, that says like, here's how you update a query param. It shows you navigating with query params, but like, it's not like an Ember where you can just like have some state and like sync it, right? So there's this cool library that's like React use query params, and it works with React Router and Reach Router. And it basically lets you use, this is a really cool signature. It's a hook that looks like this, and you get to just do this and
Ooh,
call set.
Very nice.
Yeah, and it's basically like use state, but it syncs it with the URL. So I think we should build this ourselves because they have. Well, I don't know. Maybe we could just bring this in, because it did work.
Yeah.
But
I'm fine with bringing it in, right? Are you worried that there's just too much code and?
Yeah, it's just another dependency, and also like you have to give a provider, and it depends on if you're using Reach Router or React Router.
Yeah. Okay.
But maybe we could just bring this in. It does
Let's
work.
try to bring this in, and then if we hit a road bump, we can quickly.
It would also be kind of fun to write this. Not fun, but I mean, it would be pretty simple, I think.
I have a question. How do you navigate? So you do the query params. How do the query params end up in the URL string, and then you just navigate to that URL string?
Yeah, exactly. And then right here we get location.search. So yeah, it would save us from doing this. I mean, this is what we would wrap up in our own hook. I kind of think we should do it right here because like this library has like, I don't know, it just has stuff that we don't necessarily need. And it's like you have a param and
this is meant to work with like n params, and we're only going to have 3 for now. So we can take a lot of shortcuts.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like they do the encoding too. For an object, an array, JSON, date. But we have like a text. Maybe they do that right there. So.
Yeah, they must do like type of or whatever.
All right, let's see if we can let's see if we can do this. So I say let's start by refactoring this. Make the change easy, then make the easy change. Yeah?
Make the change easy. So
never heard that before?
Start. I have heard that. I'm just trying to wrap my head around it.
This is a perfect case because we want to add another query param.
So add the functionality and then swap this component to use that functionality.
Yeah, exactly. Refactor so that using a query param is super easy, and then add the new functionality that as a second query param, which will now be easy since we made the change easy, then make the easy change. So the change that we're going to make, we first refactor to make it so that it will be easy once we do it.
All right.
Clear as mud. Make the change easy. That might be hard. Then make the easy change. That's the full saying.
Yeah, right.
So let's do something like use query param, right? And we want basically config from query param is this. So it's basically going to be let config from query param equals use query param, and it's going to be config. So
now should we also do like a setter with this, or we'll get to that later?
Yeah, we'll do a setter for sure.
Okay.
But let's just do it a little bit at a time. So this guy is going to just be right here. And so he needs location. And then he's going to return this. Robin, I think I was saying if anyone wanted to help earlier, anyone could. Yeah. And she was like, she knows that you know your stuff, so you could definitely help out if you wanted to. Okay, so we would need to pass this in right here. But instead, we can, this is where we can use a hook, right? So we should be able to use a hook. Something like use location from Reach Router, right?
Yeah, did they give that? Or like use router?
Reach
I think they
router.
do. They do have use.
Gatsby use router.
It might be use location from reach.
Yeah, I think we might just because we
Let's
already
see.
import. We're already using the router directly because
Yeah, I want to see if Gatsby has some
Gatsby
thin,
router hook.
simple, yeah, thin wrap around it. So if they ever upgrade, we can.
Yeah, I'm guessing. If I had to guess, I'm thinking that they shield that here. Okay, I'm going to go straight to reach router. If you can find something, let me know. But it's a little slow here to try to Google it. But I'm pretty sure.
All right. Do you want? I'm just watching you, but I can search.
Oh, you don't have to. It was more. Here we go. Use location.
God, he looks so serious there.
I know it's not the most flattering.
It's like he's asking me to like donate to save the life of a child or something. I don't know why that popped into my head there, but
okay, cool. So that should be good. And then okay, so this is still query params. Let's pop this down here so we can still see everything works. This is needed when we update a single thing. We have to get the current query params, update the single value we care about, and then reserialize it. So that's what's going on there.
okay, and that's what we'll hide in set.
Exactly. So let's see if this still works. So let's go to /REPL. I guess I could be running my test right now, but I'm just going to take too long. So because of my machine. So let's see if we just get through here without any warnings. And then if I were to change all this, looks good. Refresh this, should get the same thing. Looks good.
Nice.
It's cool, right?
Yeah.
So use query param. Okay, so now we want this to be let config. So we want to change this to config, right? Well, I guess it still is query. Let's just leave the name the same for now. And we want to change this to be set config from query param. So this is going to return let value. And we need a setter, basically. And let's see here. Handle config input change, send a message, and here we go. We get the query params from the current location. We update the key right here. And so how is this going to work? So basically this guy is going to be set config from query param. And it's going to be like this. This is going to be our interface, right?
Yep.
Also, we should pull the A to B stuff out.
Why? Yeah, okay. Because you're saying we don't like need to A to B the word like get.
Oh, maybe that's okay for now, actually. Let's just leave it in there.
Yeah.
So then it'll be like this, right?
Mm-hmm. And then when you call set, walk me through like the component lifecycle here.
Yeah, exactly.
Should set trigger a navigate? If I'm setting the query param, do I just set it and then and then I have to manually call navigate?
Let's think about this. So really we want like a callback. So hook setters don't have this, right? But didn't the old ones didn't set state have a second argument that invokes after the setter has run?
Yeah, yes, yeah,
That
correct.
and hooks don't, because you're kind of supposed to use effect or something like that.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. This is effectful code. We're updating. This component is forcing something outside of it.
No, not from its but this is the thing, we ran into this before, man. We're about to get into an hour-long podcast debate here, because when you set the local to do and then you want to send a message after it's done, if you can't do it in the second callback, you end up doing an effect, but then the effect runs when you don't want it to, when conceptually what you want to do is like update the local input and then send a message to your parent. So
yeah, we never want the URL to change unless it was a set config from query param happened first.
Yeah.
And with an effect, we could end up accidentally doing that.
Exactly.
I wonder if there's a way we can, well, okay, I just want to say we can always pull in that other library if this is something we don't want to deal with.
That's true.
The other thing is, like, I wonder if like we just need to do some ref juggling, in the sense that we set some state that, yep, the user did call a setter, and then the effect runs, the effect does a navigate, and then immediately after that navigate, the effect sets some state that says, okay, there's no setter run. Like, I took care of the last setter that ran.
Well, I mean, I guess the declarative thing here or whatever would be, man, this stuff really bothers me. It bothers me because I want to hear how different people solve it, and I know they have different answers to it. But so let's say all of this logic right here. So just to be super clear about what's happening. So when you type in the editor, we send a message to the state machine that the config has changed. I mean, we could also like just do all of this stuff in the state machine.
No. I think you're
okay. Let's stay here. Let's stay here.
Yeah.
So you send the state machine. We update the query param, and then we if we run this logic, which is if the URL length is too big, then we do some stuff. Otherwise, we navigate to this. Let's just take this for simplicity's sake. Let's just say every time we
whoa.
I just want to talk about this for a second. Existing code, right? So let's just say we need to run this effect. We need to call. This is not even an effect from the perspective of this component, but let's just say, okay, we basically need to get the new query string, the full query string, which is like this thing.
Yep.
So we need to run this code, right? So we can't just leave it like this, because I
mean, we
can.
We're not using. There's no setter for config input.
Okay, so navigate is the setter.
Yeah.
So this is kind of confusing, because there's going to be some situations. Okay, let's just I'm still getting confused by this logic right here. So let's say that this code is going to actually run this.
Yep.
Okay, so in that case, it's fine. In that case, the setter here is basically this. Okay, maybe this is not going to be as hard as I thought. I was getting a little confused. New value.
I see what you're saying. So no effect.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. And then this guy right here is going to be. I do want to talk about the effect thing. So we'll come back to that in a second. So new value, and then navigate. So how do we get navigate? I think we can get it with a use navigate.
I think use navigate.
Navigate. Use navigate. There we go. Did you come? You didn't come in. Oh, this stuff is just like not. There we go. You can do it VS Code. I think I wrote another hook recently. That was pretty cool. Use keyboard shortcut. It's pretty neat.
Cool.
Let's comment this out for a second. Okay, so this is pretty good, actually. Set URL. Okay, this is pretty good, actually. So, yeah. Let's see if this works. Curious. For anyone wondering what that intermittent barking is, Ryan sometimes gets really hungry on streams and
it's my stomach.
Tries to let me know about it. ASDF. Loading. Let's refresh this.
I'll be right back.
Okay. All right, so that seems to work. So I'm going to talk out loud while Ryan's gone, and then we'll rehash it when he gets back and see if that makes sense. So what I was talking about before is, hey, Nala. What's up, Nala?
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk about why I think this is the use effect thing is weird. So let's just say, for instance, that this was like state, that this was calling set state on the config thing, and then we needed to then do a side effect right here with the new config input, right? So we needed to call this function after we called this setter. But this function like relied on this new state that was up here, basically. That's the problem, right? So this is the solution in a sense, is that you pass it around since you have it right here. But if you wanted to run some function here, and this function was like function navigate, and this thing did something with the config from query param state, and it needed to run after it was set, this is like the impossible thing. And so the only answer is to do like use effect, and then we're going to call navigate, and it depends on our config from query param. First of all, my objection to this is that this is not like the purpose of use effect. It's just like not, because this is not like an effect. It's just like logic that runs after set state. Second, this now runs all the time, and you have to start doing things like if previous dot whatever, yeah, exactly, doesn't equal blah config from query param. So this is completely wrong. Like you just can't convince me otherwise, because like this is not expressing what it is you're doing here, which is like you want to update the state and then call this function once the state was updated. So
it's you want to update the state and call the function
with the value from the new state.
Yeah.
And where we get bit by this is when the functions that we call, things like this, are reading from state and they're like disconnected from the event that's happening, and it's just easy to bite you because you're already writing your events and your handlers based on the state, and then now they can't expect it to be they can't be guaranteed that it's going to have this latest value because of this problem. So I think we sidestepped this problem in this case, fortunately. But that is still a point of my understanding that has a gap in it around React, around the best way to solve that. Okay, so I think this is working, actually. It's messy right now, but it works. The setter uses the query params. Wait, we don't need to get this again. We already have it right here, right?
Yeah. Well...
Yeah, because this is defined. Well, no, because this is defined. No, it's literally the same code, and it's returned in the same thing. So this thing gets run. This is going to be exactly the same value as.
But they may have changed if you.
Oh, because location. No, it can't have changed.
Because a change in location.search will have updated this.
The location from the use location hook.
Okay.
Exactly. So the setter grabs the query params, and we need a key here. We're passing in the key here. That's what we need. So this is a key. And can you do this?
Yep. Amazing.
That's really cool. Key. And then the setter is going to grab the config and stringify and replace. What happened here? Function. I don't think you can do this.
You can.
I don't even need to do this because query params is defined. Query params is either an object or an empty object. So that's good.
You can. I had to do it for a project. I don't know what the exact syntax is though.
Okay.
Maybe at the end.
Maybe it's like that. I bet it's like that.
Yeah.
But this is actually better because we know query params. Like if we were in TypeScript, we would know that this is an object.
Yep.
Parsed query. That's cool. All right. So then we set, and then this URL, this is wrong. So we need to get this from the current location.path. Because we don't want to hard code /REPL into use query param. We want to navigate to the current URL, and then update the query string. So I think it's going to be location.path.
You might need a console log location here.
Yeah, I threw a debugger in there. You know me, I roll with the debugger.
No, I'm saying in order to get access to location.
Because of it's a closure.
So let's see if it has, because I'm unclear of when it is not in scope and when it is in scope.
When Google,
I know
when Google decides to violate JavaScript.
Exactly. I know when JavaScript says it should be in scope.
Yeah. Location. Yep. Google, you broke JavaScript.
I don't understand.
I know.
You can leave the debugger.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like it slows it down. You know? I don't know.
Oh, Robin, cool. Your dog's name was Nala. What kind of dog was it?
Yeah, path name.
Nice.
Cool. So location.path name. Why does it always feel like we're redoing library work, like when we're building stuff? These are pretty cool primitives, though, I gotta say.
Yeah. Oh, the hooks?
Yeah, hooks. Hooks and the router. I mean, they're low level, but like, I'm just saying, like, we're coming from Ember and Rails. Like, updating the query param should be like a framework level API. It shouldn't be something you are inventing, you know?
Yeah.
But I guess it's cool that you can invent it.
Yeah, I mean, this is cool. Like, we get to control how it gets serialized, so A to B, and
right.
Yeah, we get a nice little setter for it, a nice little function that we can call set and hide the navigation in.
Right. All right, man, I'm coming around to it. We're all framework authors now. Cool. It works, dude. Where's that log? Oh, wait. Okay. Okay, it works. So that's pretty cool. Use query param, baby. That's the good stuff. There's nothing about config in here, right? Okay. handle config input change. So now we're going to do this, get the existing code working again. So I think we just need to say if the URL, okay, so this is the thing. We need to check, we need to get the URL. So that kind of sucks. We need to get the URL as it will be.
Yeah.
So that kind of sucks.
Can we just like, can we do like, I know we can't do this, but can we use new config input its length?
We could
like
use
an
the current
approximation?
URL. Oh no, because you could paste in a block and have it change by a lot. I was thinking like every time you change it,
Yeah.
it's by one.
No, I'm thinking just like if new config input is over 500 characters, we know we can't serialize it, something like that.
Yeah.
And then we can, yeah, I mean, that's crappy. Really, we need two things. We need a way to basically generate base64 from config, and that should be its own function that isn't tied to setting the URL, even though setting the param will trigger that, will use that function. We want to be able to guard around that. So we should abstract that into its own function. And then we can say, like, if
well, we can. I mean, we can just simplify this and say B to A new config input.
Okay. Yep.
Dot length.
Yep.
Yeah, it's fine. Okay, so if it's greater than 2000, I like if it's less. I like swapping these. Wow. Yep. Sam had 3 hours of sleep last night. Samsonite. I was way off. So if the length is less than 2000, we clear. This is more like state machine code, like code that we can probably refactor, but
yeah,
we can clear the URL overage value, and then we can go ahead and set this. So this is actually going to get moved right here. So we're actually going to update the query param thing. And then otherwise, we are going to basically, if we can't store it in the URL, then we're gonna store it in local config input state, and we are going to set the a limit that tells you. Although I think I didn't even end up using that URL overage, did I? I did. Yeah. Okay. I don't use it in the UI. I just have it as a Boolean, really. Let's rename this because I used it. I had like UR like 3 characters over, but that's actually it's confusing because the way base64 encoding works, sometimes you can type more and like the characters go down.
Yep.
So let's change this to. By the way, in VS Code, I can say F2, and I can change this to URL is too long. What should I call this? This is a horrible name. URL too long.
Is this? Do we need set state for this, or can this just be derived from?
It does, because the problem is you don't navigate to that URL, so that new URL value only lives in a local variable right here. Well, you could derive it from local config input, I guess. So
yeah,
if the URL is too long, if local config input is a thing, it means the URL is too long. Because the only way you could set has local config input, basically, it's has local config input. So yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right.
Okay, but I think you're making it. I think we're going to quickly get into like that state machine trap.
Yeah, but I think this is better because this is getting rid of. Let's say set URL. Let me see where I'm using this. Yeah, so let's try to get rid of this. It's kind of feels like a big change right now. Let's keep this right here now and then see if we can get rid of it. So
okay,
set URL overage. Let's just do like this. I'm just going to copy it because I think we're going to be able to get rid of this. Length minus 2000. And then here, navigating, this is like clearing the URL because it's too long. But really, I think we just need to clear the config, and we could still have the method in the URL, right? So really, this can just be like null or whatever, right?
Yep.
So that should work.
Can I set config from query param
Yeah,
is confused. The word the from is confusing me.
yeah. Let's rename it, but let's see if this works first. And I say let's run the test suite because we've been changing a lot.
Yep.
But yeah, I almost think this should just be like a set query param key value kind of thing, signature, you know?
Oh, so like instead of use query param taking a key,
it could just be config and then new val. And you could even do set query params and it just takes an object in config new val. And you could just pass in a whole object here.
Yep.
You know? But let's see if our test passed. So what I'm going to do is open up, we got the server running over there, and open right now is pointing to 8,000, which is what we want. So we run yarn side.open, yarn side.open. Is there an echo in here? Is there an echo in here? Just keeping the people entertained, Ryan. They're like, is this entertainment? It's like that meme. Is this entertainment?
Yeah, is this?
Let's go ahead and close Discord. All right, a REPL spec. Let's see how much we've destroyed our test suite. 7 of your 5 tests are failing. Wow, that's incredible. Love seeing that big Discord logo. It's my favorite part. Here we go, baby. Ow, ow. I hate the socket IO noise, man. I hate that.
Yeah.
Shoot. We got a failure. I think it was related to a parsing error, though. Uh-oh.
Yeah. Oh, object.length. If you go back to the code, I think we have
page not
we're
found.
calling length. New config input. Yeah, that always exists, right? Yep. Let's run like one of these in isolation.
Yeah.
Probably the simplest one.
What I really hate, what I hate about the Cypress UI here is that you can't just click on one of these and rerun it. And they have this long thread about like why that's not right. If you're TDing a certain way, that won't be how you do it. But I'm like, bro, let me just click one of these, because now what I'm going to do is come over here, find this dang thing, like a freaking plebeian, and shows a parsing error. I mean, I feel like a robot right now. Like, this is what I get paid to do, man? Is this what I've chosen? Is my life calling? When I can press a button, I have to come back here, find a string of text, type in .only. Like, does anyone even care about me? Is anyone listening?
Listen, just do your job. Come on.
I'm not a code monkey, man. I'm not a code monkey. Okay, so
I'd be interested to read that thread, because yeah, I just want to click it and isolate this test.
Yes. Okay, so we have bad config value. So we're doing something funny with our thing here. Let's pull up in development and just try to visit /REPL and follow what happens. I have a feeling this is gonna add something to the config. We have like a runaway side effect or something.
Go to the Cypress URL. It actually looked really funny. It looked like there were characters before the slash in Cypress, wherever that runner was.
Yeah. REPL / and then
let's take a, you know what? That might be the encoding for like a backtick. Let's look at the navigate, the call to navigate.
location.pathname. But who's calling setter?
Dude, we have too many brackets. You have too many
Oh my goodness. But like, this actually shouldn't even be getting called.
It shouldn't. You're changing.
Because you're going to /REPL. Oh, you are changing it. Okay, never mind. Sorry.
Yeah, you're changing it. Yeah, and that's why we get a page not found, because it's like, what the hell is REPL bracket?
Got you. Ryan, I knew there was a reason.
That's why I get paid.
That's why you get paid the big bucks. Awesome. All right, now like a code monkey, let's go back here. Let's remove the dot only. I mean, seriously, it's a really long issue thread, and the founder of or a co-founder of Cypress was just like, "You're doing it wrong," and I was like, "I'm not going to read a 20-paragraph essay on telling me how to do it right. I'm just not going to do that. You know, I'm going to go pour myself some bourbon and turn on The Bachelor instead. I mean, that's just the reality of it." So he's just going to get my complaints on my live stream. That's all there is to it. Look at us writing hooks, running test suites that pass.
Speaking of The Bachelor, I think in my Bill Simmons feed, I think he did an interview with one of the guys that I didn't listen to it, but it's one of the guys that runs the show, is the host. I don't know.
Chris
Producer.
Anderson. Chris Anderson.
Maybe. I don't know. I listened to like a clip of it, and I was like, I don't care about this.
I know, but just don't get into it, man, because you will care, and you won't be able to stop caring for the rest of your life. I promise you. It's a parasite, man. It's like when Neo got infected with the thing that went to his belly button. By the way, Robin just asked, y'all get paid? Like he's sitting here listening to us. Like, there's no way these guys make actual money, right? They both live with their moms at home, because like these guys are absolutely ridiculous. No one pays them for their advice or their labor, right? That would be an incredible feat. Well, I'm here to tell you, Robin, that is an incredible feat, and we managed to pull it off more than once, actually. Okay, cool.
There's a great meme where it's like from a movie, and like two people are complaining, and then like the last frame, it's like some kid is like, "Wait, you guys are getting paid?" And people always do like programming jokes over it. This is going to be better if I just find one rather than try to explain it.
All right, what are we doing in this thing? Our new branch is going to be called URL method query params. Refactoring. Okay, so we have test passage. Let's go back and do one of these improvements here. So this is make the change easy. Parentheses, this can be hard. And that's what we're doing right now. Where, this is what Martin Fowler means when he says that, because this is a lot of work to refactor all this. But it's the best time to do it because we actually have motivation, a reason to change something else. And so we're making it easy on our future selves. And this is like the best time to refactor while you're coding, right? So let's see if we can get rid of URL overage. So really, if we're using local config input, it means URL is config. It's really config is too large for URL, something like that, right? And this is really if local config input is not equal to null. And let's be a little bit better around our types here.
Well, I get where you're going. I'm a little confused why there's like local config, there's URL config. It's because one of those can exist and the other can't. So we need to.
Yeah, exactly. So once the config gets too big, if it's small enough, we're going to throw it in the URL. If it's too big, we need to put it somewhere. Right? Because basically, once I decided to sync the URL, this is the interesting thing that I learned over the weekend. Once you decide to put, like, we have this right now, right? Where's our request component?
Mm-hmm.
If we go to source components inspector, the component formerly known as inspector, here we have state, right? Method and URL. But if we put one of these into, if we want to sync a method with a query param, then the source of truth is a query param. So we don't use React state anymore. It becomes, it's the query param is a source of truth. So you actually get rid of this use state. So the thing is with the config input, if it gets too big, then we actually do need React state again to store that data. And then once it gets small again, we can clear it. And so we should clear it actually. You see what I'm saying?
I do. So what point, like at some point, juggling all this inside of this REPL JS component is going to like, we're just forcing knowledge on our head, like which config are we using? It makes it harder for us. So at some point, like this should be hidden in either like,
yeah, we could have a new hook that is like tries its best to sync it with the URL. It's like URL syncable state. Use URL syncable state, and if it's not, it gives you back a property that's like too long, and then you can use that to customize the UI. But you don't actually care. You're just doing this all under the hood.
Yeah. Yep. In my mind, there's one config. I understand the reason why there could be two.
Yeah.
But in my mind, there's one config, and you tell me where that config is, and if it's not able to go in the URL. And so,
yeah, but you see why
yes,
why we don't want it always to be in React state, because then we would just be like syncing the URL, and that feels like wrong to me. Because yeah, so yes,
yep,
yeah. This is a really great example of a hook actually that could be like use query param state, and basically you could imagine if you wanted to install this as a third-party library, then it needs to account for the fact if the state is too big to store in the URL. And what does it do in that case? It just falls back to React state, and it gives you some return value that tells you that. Pretty cool, right?
Yeah. So you could imagine it returns like an array, and the first thing is value, and the second thing is like is serializable,
something like that.
That could switch, to true to false. Cool. Okay.
I guess it would also need to return a setter. So maybe the third thing is like, cannot be serialized or whatever. Okay. So that's why we have this now. So config is too large for URL. So if it's small, then the local config is null, and we can set it in the query param. We'll rename these for sure. Otherwise, we'll set it in the local config and then clear out the query param. So this is actually better because I don't think I was clearing out the local config before. So this is nice. The symmetry, the encapsulation we're doing is making the code a lot clearer.
Yep.
So let's save this and see if this works. Checking for updates. I have it up to date. And I'm going to grab, I have a test case here, REPL.spec. REPL.spec, that sounds like a rap name, like a gangster rap name. Welcome to the stage, REPL.spec. Maybe not. Okay, so this
your rap name.
This is too long, but it should be valid. I think there's a paste issue sometimes. Loading.
What is that new message thing over there? Is that something that
Mirage success? That's like things we haven't handled yet. Messages from the REPL, but this is not. Okay. I think this is a bug.
What did you do to
What have you done?
Get the bug?
Unless we didn't have good tests before. If the length is less than 2000, set it here. Local config input. Otherwise, maybe it's this guy. So we need to see what this is doing. First of all, it has this thing. Okay, this is probably the problem. This is long and it's not working. So we need to figure out what's happening here. So setter, new value.
Yeah, throw a debugger in there.
Also, okay, yeah, new value. Oh,
Just
B2A.
yeah.
I'm betting it's B2A null. Yeah, that's the problem.
Nice.
So we want to do this.
New value, question mark, otherwise. How do we clear a query param? We just don't include it, right? So query params, basically delete query params key.
Yeah. But maybe this,
so it's really,
maybe this thing will do that. Let's just throw a debugger in here.
Yeah, see what stringify. I mean, null is a value, so I would expect null.
It is.
I would expect. I don't know. I'm just.
Well, maybe we can make it undefined. You know.
I feel like it's going to be delete, but yes, yeah, maybe whatever is. Maybe there's a way to hide things from stringify. Stringify is like just JavaScript API. That's not like something built into query params.
No.
What is that?
No, it's a method off of the query string library.
We should pull that up. I wonder if there's a way to. We should pull up the docs for that. I wonder if there's a way to call stringify and like ignore null or something. Because that would be the easiest.
Come on.
It's query params, not query string.
Shoot.
Yep.
Gosh dang it. No, it's query string is a library.
Oh, okay.
It's just not going to let me do it, man. It's not going to let me do it.
Oh, you know why? Because this is it's a module import, so it gets a weird name.
Oh yeah.
Turn off source maps and you can see it.
Options, strict, encode, bracket. No, skip keys with no. Default false.
Okay.
Note that keys with undefined as the value are always skipped. Why don't we just use undefined? It feels like it's a better.
Yes.
Okay, let's try this again. No, I don't need you anymore. I said I don't need you. Question mark config. Nope. There's a lot of failure states in this app, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. URL updates. Cool. Runtime error. Paste in something that's too long. Here we go. Your config is too long. Won't be serialized. API posts. Cool.
Nice.
And if we were to bring this back, boom. Get that. There it is. Refresh. Pretty cool, man. Like when things work. I like it. Like having tests. Okay. So what did we just fix? The setter here. Yep, this thing. Yep. So we got rid of the URL state. We didn't need that. That was a good call. Okay. And then we want to rename some of this stuff. So
config.
Yeah, this could totally be like use query params.
I know, but
and then this could be like query params and then like set query param. And then we could just, anywhere we need it, we could just do query params.config. And then when we want to update it, we could do set query param config new value. It's pretty nice.
Okay.
Feels like less naming than this, right?
Yep. I was going to say config query param isn't that bad because we have config local.
Got you. We have local. So I'm using things inconsistently. Sometimes I call it a config input. Sometimes I call it a config. What should we do? What should we call it? Just config. Config input. Config.
I like local config and query param config. Okay.
Your wish is my command.
But I also don't mind that API you just wrote out. So where you just have query params.
Yeah, let's do this. I like the symmetry because of what you just said. So this guy is going to be query param config. And this is going to be set query param config. And this is going to be default starting config is kind of like unnecessary. This is just going to be like default config. And local config is going to become local config. Local config input is going to become local config. This is going to become set local config. And then there we go. So if the length is small enough, then we set the query param and we clear this. Otherwise, we clear the query param and set this. Seems nice. Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
If this still gets confusing, we can like refactor this into something that hides where the storage is.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the real thing that's leaking right here, or that's just spreading out, is like the fact that there's two potential sources of truth for something that, from our perspective of our domain, we only care about one thing. Like it doesn't actually matter whether it's stored in the URL or local state.
Yep.
But this is not bad, man.
No, not at all.
Okay, so let's see if tests are passing, and then we should be able to see if we can use our shiny new hook easily. This is exciting. Let's go ahead and I'm guessing this is gonna. Sometimes I like to commit before my test pass because I like to live dangerously. Refactoring complete. I'm even gonna say it. Test passing, even though they weren't. But only you and I are going to know that.
Lies.
I'm also good at amending commits and rewriting Git history. That makes me a good team player, right?
Yeah. Just find commits I wrote and write I suck at the end.
I'm good at rewriting Git history. I'm good at force pushing too. It's all things that make for a great teammate. That's the first thing I lead with when I interview at new jobs. They're like, tell me something new that I might not know. It's like, have you heard of force push? You can have some great fun with force push on a big team, especially when your deploys are tied to your Git repository. They're like, sir, this place is not for you. Okay, so are we even using these anymore? Location. I don't think we're using those anymore. I think that's why they're dim, but I don't think they throw an error because I have a message about not throwing an error. That's pretty cool, actually. Navigate. Pretty awesome.
Nice.
All right. Time to amend. Because, see, that makes it seem like I was smart enough to know that ahead of time. All right. So let's see. Now is the fun part, right?
Yeah, now we should just be able to use this for the method in URL.
Yeah, so I want to extract this guy. Refactor. Move to a new file.
You keep up this work and you'll be writing Java apps in no time.
You know it, buddy. And then I get to drag this thing to hooks. This is a cool thing about VS Code, and now that just works. Nope, it didn't. That was supposed to work. I'm surprised it didn't. Also, it's using a function export as opposed to a default export.
I've been doing this now because of, I think it's like a TypeScript thing. You're supposed to do this.
Anyone on the stream have any opinions about default exports versus named exports?
I think Robin brought something like this up last week.
Oh yeah,
Robin, give us the answer.
give us the wisdom. Oh look, it just updated. It just took a long time. It's funny.
Also, this is like use query param JS, where everything else is dasherized.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. I was going to rename it, but I almost want to rename everything else because like the fact that the refactoring tools, I just want to be able to use those easily,
Yeah.
Is this going to update for me? Dude, I can't. I think the IntelliSense stuff is just lagging because my poor machine right now. Come on. There we go. See? It just updated. Okay, so use query param. Oh, I guess we will be adding functionality here to support default value because we don't have that yet. That's okay. Oh wait, the default value comes from the URL. You can't set a default value. You do that by navigating to something. Okay, so let's go over to, let's see how this bad boy works. Request. So instead of use state, method is going to be use query param. See, I like that we wrote this. Don't you agree? I mean, it's 17 lines long. It's
Yes.
not a library. We have control over it.
Yep.
So this is going to be called the method. And it's going to start out empty. And let's see what the heck happens here.
Export default. So we have to change that. Well, I think you already fixed that one. Yeah.
New message data. It didn't work. Oh wait, we didn't update the setter. Oh yeah, set.
No, that's a method. You were changing the URL. Change the method.
Oh.
In the UI.
Oh snap.
Boom. UFVU. ROVU.
Wait, patch. Let's refresh this. Is it really going to start out on patch? Man, that's amazing.
Boom. What was that saying? Make the change.
Yeah, make the change easy, then make the easy change. That's exactly right.
Yeah. So you literally, that was the easy change.
That was the easy change.
Use state to use query param.
Yeah. Pretty cool, right?
Nice job. Yeah.
I feel like if there was 100 people watching us right now, they would just be standing up and cheering, I feel like I'm just going to believe that in my heart of hearts that that's happening right now because that's pretty awesome. Should we encode this? I mean, I kind of feel like it shouldn't be encoded.
Yeah, probably not.
So how do we decide whether something's encoded? We pass an option?
Yeah, we could pass an option or we could just leave the encoding and decoding up to the caller.
So,
but I kind of like passing an option because this is our use query param thing, and we're going to be encoding like 30% of our things. So
yeah.
Why not build it in?
Yeah. So what should this be like? Config encode true? How about something like that? Seems pretty good.
Yeah. is encode.
Encode, base64 encode.
There's like, yeah, but there's also like URL encoding, which is something we might have to do. Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah, is better. Yeah. Okay. Or it's like binary. It's really binary. The base64 encoding is like an implementation detail. It's really binary true because you're saying that like
so this is where this is exactly why this guy ended up with this kind of type that you pass in, so that the type is a declarative way to tell use query param how to serialize and deserialize the value.
Yep. So yeah, exactly.
Cool.
So binary.
How about just type binary?
Yep, this is a binary. Yeah. Because you could have binary true and string true.
Yeah,
that would be invalid.
Yeah, exactly. How about an optional type?
Probably options.
Yeah.
Don't we always want options?
Yeah.
Hash? Yeah.
More future proof. Okay, we're refactoring, y'all. Options is going to default to type of string. And here's the value. And then I'm just going to be really ugly. If options.type is equal to binary, value equals A to B value. This is actually how I code, everybody. So this is now get to be like this, or null. So sorry, if value, hold on, let's do this a little bit more simply, right? Actually, this is fine, right? The value is the query params key, or it's null. And if we have a value and it's binary, then we need to encode it. Does this make any sense?
Yeah, didn't we want to use undefined? Oh, we use undefined in the setter.
URL search params are built in the browser now. No need for package. Oh, interesting. MDM URL search params.
Oh.
Ryan, can you pay Robin to work for us? Just ask your uncle. You have a rich uncle, right?
I can pay you in YouTube views.
Cool. We'll have to refactor to this at some point. Seems good. Do they do like automatic encoding or something? That'd be pretty neat. If options.type is equal to binary, new value equals B to A, new value.
And then really here's where that undefined check comes in. I see.
I think that should do it.
Wait, but if we call the setter with
yeah. Wait, this is wrong. Yeah, this is wrong. Yeah.
So
it's really if.
I think each type can decide its thing. So I think it's like if options type is binary, then new value equals what you had before, which was like
right,
new value, then B to A, new value, otherwise undefined. Actually, probably, I think after we write a few options type if things, a pattern will emerge.
How about just this? We don't even need to do anything.
Yeah, we're going to have to use, when we get to the URL, we're going to have to use URL encode and URL decode because we're going to have slashes, I think, and those need to be encoded.
Right.
Maybe not. I don't know. Okay.
I'm going to do the same thing up here. Then A to B.
Yeah, I think you want one question mark.
So, is that right? Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm. By the way, with like these sort of like if statements and value equals, I just with prettier, I just write these as just nested ternary operators and let prettier do its magic. Let's get this working before.
Okay.
But it's something that I absolutely love about prettier. Something I never would have done before prettier.
Interesting. Man, these I gotta say these stream sessions are always very focused work. I really like it.
Yeah, can't goof off.
Nope. You know me, Serious Sam. They call me. That's what they called me back in high school.
Yeah.
Serious Sam. Always sitting in the front of the class doing his work. Post. Boom. Patch. Dude, it's pretty awesome, man.
Yeah.
The power to make your own abstractions it's hard. Like that took you and me like 2 hours or whatever of refactoring, but like it's super powerful, man. Use query param, type binary.
Yep.
Look at that. That's a library right there, you know? It's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
It's like it's funny because abstractions are easy to get wrong, but like I feel like to be effective with React, you need to practice getting good with abstractions. Because if you don't, you're going to have, I mean, we're about to have 3 query param variables, and if we had that code everywhere, it would be a mess with the navigate and location in all 3 places.
Yeah. I mean, there's the flip side, right? There's like the wrong abstraction.
Yeah.
Which could be worse than copy and pasting 3 times. I mean, I think in sort of just like if it's simple, if it looks simple, if it's declarative, it's probably good. When you start passing in like 50 options to configure the thing, that's when you get in trouble.
Yeah. So we can just replace this bad boy with URL. I mean, that's really cool. Talk about the easy change.
Yeah. And now we can test the encoding, so we can come up with some URLs that are
so cool, man. A component is changing an uncontrolled input of type undefined to be controlled. This is working. Wow, this is cool, man. We might actually manage to ship this today. Let's see what's happening here. /API/users. It looks like it is encoding it.
We might have. So there's a thing when you hot module reload. Oh, it is encoding it. Cool.
Oh, patch. Cool.
Nice.
So now I can refresh this bad boy. Oh, yeah, man. So cool.
I think we should encode the button press, because I think it's nice to
encode it? What do you mean?
link.
You mean like
It would be nice for you to send this screen, what you see, to me as a link.
yeah, with the submission, you're saying.
Yep. This is awesome. I mean, I can just look at this and
start playing around with it.
Yeah.
First of all, is this even working? Let's try refreshing here. So we should write some tests for this. Dude, this is awesome. We're going to actually ship this. This is sick.
I have a question. When you check to make sure the URL length is less than 2,000 characters, what are you checking there? Is it a rule that every query param has to be under 2000?
No, it's the whole
or is it a rule
URL.
that,
That's why I had it before, where I rebuilt the whole URL with the theoretical new value of the config.
okay.
But because the config, I mean, now you could pass in a long ass URL right here. So
Yep.
that is why we
Yep.
should potentially, and that's why we could make use query param more sophisticated. It's
Yep,
really,
to consider,
it's
yep.
really that. Yeah, there's an interesting thing here where like, yeah, it's just more complicated. It just depends on if we want to do it or not. I almost feel like instead of trying to
I don't think we need to today.
definitely not today, but even in the future, instead of trying to handle all the cases where one query param makes the whole URL too long and what do you do with all the variables, if we just get some real backend behind this app, then we really won't have to worry about long URLs. Like we just won't have to worry about it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Or at least for a long time. We should do active database tab too. Active tab, so you can share the database.
Oh yeah.
Let's round this stuff out before we get the button or whatever. So my first question is like, you visit /REPL. We load the default config, which is not tied to the URL. What should we do for the method? And should they always be in the URL? That's probably the easiest way to start, isn't it? So we could have /REPL redirect to method equals get and URL is blank or something like that. I don't know.
I see.
We could also just ignore it because it seems like it works. Like if I hit enter, I mean, we shouldn't, right? We should. If I hit enter here, so the problem is like this is technically out of sync with the state, because like technically this thing is undefined and this thing should be like is undefined too. So it's just kind of weird.
Wait, I kind of think those are okay because as soon as you change them, they're going to update.
Yes, I agree. However, like, well, first of all, there's a bug.
Also, we shouldn't be serializing a blank URL, so we should get that. We're like serializing empty string as URL, so we should change this.
So that should be handled by use query param, basically.
Yep. And this might be where the source of our uncontrolled
input, got you,
because we might be going from string to null to string to null.
Okay.
So
so we
should fix it in use query param and then fix it in the other one.
The setter should be new value. Oh, we actually do want this.
Yeah.
Also, this is like not what we want. We want like, oh, well, that's fine. Let's not worry about it. I guess we should be writing tests.
Yeah.
I guess this is where a component test might be useful.
Or like a hook test.
Yeah, not a hook test. I mean, yes, it's just for testing the hook, but it would literally be a component that renders an input, uses that thing, and starts changing it, and it starts against the URL. It wouldn't even be one of our app components. That might be interesting to do sometime.
Yeah, set up like Jest.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I actually might have that. I think I did too, actually. I think I did set that up.
It's still the problem.
Yeah, so this is going to be, now if we go look at our input, I bet you there are times when we're passing undefined to our input, which is what we don't want to do that. So I bet you if you console log URL
here, I could do like this?
they're going to be, yeah, something like that. This question mark nullish thing is still trippy for me to read.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is saying URL or empty string. If URL if URL is nullish.
It's like URL question mark. Then yeah. Otherwise, do this. That's how I read it. Like the question mark. It's like URL. You know, because it's like if you have it, then use it. Otherwise, use this thing.
Yeah.
Like maybe, you know.
It's really it's like really whatever. It's just we always want a string. I think that's what matters here.
So then, well, that's or undefined.
No, but not.
Oh, right down here,
no,
not
no.
up here, down here. Yeah,
exactly. We do want undefined because we don't want to serialize an empty string into the URL.
Right. Although empty string is.
Dude, I'm picky about my URLs.
No, but you could enter in I'm saying, in theory, like you could enter in an empty string as like an email or a password, and that's different than there being no password in a config object or something, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that fixed it.
Yeah, but we still URL should disappear from the URL right now.
Yeah, so setter.
So, yep.
So this is why this is now passing. Whereas if we did this, so if it's not the empty string, well, no. Or does what we want here. If it's not the empty string, no, because it could be undefined.
It could just be called with like the word null.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yep.
You really want to know if this is a string, if it's a string other than undefined. If it's a string and it's not undefined.
Hey, in DevTools, what happens if you type like new string parentheses with like undefined or with...
How about undefined toString?
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know. What about... Okay, that's dumb.
Yeah, new string undefined, I think, is this. Yeah. Okay. There's probably a cleaner way to do what we're doing, but I guess I don't really care. I feel like this is just tucked away in its little box.
Yep. Agreed. Oops. Cool.
Nice.
And then this guy is going to get...
Can we do one more thing?
What's that?
Can we do no question mark if there are no query params?
This is slow, man. I'm like typing this and it's like it gets a little laggy. Can we do no question mark if there are no query params? Yes.
I think and I think maybe we can like debounce this. So if you're typing really fast, we're not updating the URL n times.
Query string.
Yeah.
If we have
a serialized query string, then it's going to be question, yep, exactly. Backticks. And then the first thing inside the braces is going to be a question mark. Sorry, the first thing after the backticks is going to be a question mark. And then serialized query. Yep, there you go. So otherwise, it's really this is like the and thing.
I'm getting confused. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, you need the colon. So I would just change that blue question mark. Yeah, exactly. So then this is empty string. And then now you close the Close that backtick. Close that guy. You have to close a backtick somewhere. So I think at the very end of this line, you need a backtick.
There we go.
Yeah.
Robin said this is a good use case for an effect that you sync your state with the URL bar. So yeah, I don't know if I agree with that. I've seen people do that. I saw Michael Jackson do that with local state, where he uses an effect to sync state with local state. The problem is that when I was learning about this stuff and asking, and some of the commentary I saw from Dan Abramov and others on Twitter, they were saying things like, effects are about things that are rendered to the screen. They're about pixels on the screen. So an effect is about rendering pixels to the screen. And if you're writing data, you basically if your rendering can get thrown away, if this passive rendering can get thrown away and you don't lose anything, that would be a good use case for an effect. So like the canonical example in the docs is like document.title. Well, if the page goes away, then the title doesn't matter anymore. But the URL or something like local storage, it does matter. You're writing data. And so an effect conceptually runs like distinct from the initial render or whatever, and the logic that's running in that initial render. And so for the case where you're typing in an input box and you want to update local storage, it feels like it just feels wrong to me to use an effect for that. It feels like it should be as part of the event handler, where you type, and part of the logic of handling the typing event is saving it to local storage and then updating, the UI after that. And I understand how an effect can be used to sync it to local storage, and I also understand how it seems kind of the easier way to do it. But if you bring in like React suspense, or something starts happening where React is like batching or throwing away effects, or you're running things on the server side, and you are writing data in an effect and now it's getting thrown away because the setter isn't running as part of your like core logic flow, is running in an event, then it feels like it just doesn't feel right to me. And that was my takeaway from what Dan and Sebastian were saying to me when I was asking them about this. And basically Ryan Florence and Michael Jackson were on the other side of this, or they were just basically like, they would just use effects whenever it was convenient. And it makes a lot of things convenient because you can kind of do it on the side. But yeah, that's where I landed, and I still need to I have a blog post I want to write about it, but that's why I'm doing it like this, because for me, if we're syncing state in the URL, it's like really the URL is the source of truth. And so when you need to call set, you're updating the URL, and when you're getting it, you're reading it from the URL. Robin says there's now a lot of stuff going on in the event listener, which makes things slow. If you then start with techniques like the bounce throttle, you also have a potential issue that you lose data because you could miss an update. Well, but that's different than losing an update because React's optimized away an effect. So like, it's different. And you don't speed things up by using an effect because it's all running on JavaScript, one thread. You don't speed it up by using an effect.
I think that when I look at an effect, one of the things I like to ask myself is like, I don't care where this change comes.
Yeah.
I just want to know that if it changes, I need to keep this thing in sync.
Mm-hmm.
Where I look at this as like, I know where this change is coming.
Yeah.
And it's a handler. I look at this like a
handler,
even though we're calling it a
it
setter.
is a handler. Yeah, it is a handler.
And so that we can control how that happens.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of
the document title thing is a good example of a canonical effect, because you want that thing to be in sync with the value of that count property, regardless of how the count property changes. But here, that's not true. We actually only want to update the URL when we invoke this setter. So if we put this in an effect, all of a sudden we can find ourselves with some really weird paths through our app that we didn't anticipate, which has happened to us every time we do this, like when we did animations and other things like that, when you try to represent them as an effect, when really you only want something to happen when you like trigger something, as a result of an event.
The only, yeah, I mean, yes, I agree with that. The only thing I'm thinking is like I'm having trouble coming up with an example of where the effect would cause a problem.
Here?
Like I think if we just threw an effect at the bottom of
this guy,
we would,
or of our app code.
No. Use query param would also define an effect.
It would just use state. It would use React state to store the data, and then it would use an effect to update the URL with the value of the state.
I think it would use. I'm going to hand wave here. It would use an effect, and the effect would depend on new value. And when new value changed, it would update the URL.
Okay, but you still need to give me a way to set, right? So.
Yeah. So it would use state.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. It would use state. And the setter for that state would never leak outside of this hook. So there's no way that someone else could trigger a state update and could trigger that effect running.
No, but
where
yeah, but here's the thing.
So you're not going to return.
No, you have to return a setter. It's state. Okay. This is like this is like use state and sync with query param, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say we did this, right? And this basically does like whatever, call something, update query param key with new value, right? And so we would do function setter. Sorry, actually, we wouldn't even do that. We would just do this, right? New val is
the navigate
would
go in here.
Yeah, exactly. Navigate, whatever. Yes, sure. Whatever this thing does, that's fine. Navigate to.
Just navigate. This would be like the actual call. Navigate.
Yep. And it would use X for the new value.
Yep.
So yeah, the problem is that this can get, like in my mind, this thing needs to be treated as if it's just like gets thrown away. And if the value of X got updated and this got thrown away, then like your app would be in a weird state. Because this is not about rendering to the screen. This is not about pixels to the screen. The same way like fetching data and rendering the list of users is. When you use an effect to fetch users, it's because it's an effect because it's going to be listed over down here, right? And so the result here is like user.id, but like once this page goes away, this doesn't matter. But like you can't say the same thing for the navigation thing here. Like,
I see
what I'm saying.
So de-rendering this component doesn't make the URL bar disappear.
Yeah, it's like and like the state of the URL bar matters based on what you've done. And the local storage example is easier because like the local storage set key X or whatever, right? Or whatever the thing is, right? Like if this goes away, then like you've lost that state update. And so, yeah, that's the issue. Anyways, I'm running low on steam here. I didn't sleep a lot last night, but I think this is a super interesting. I need to write this up so that I can get like good answers on this.
Yes.
He said he has a suggestion about our URL formatting. Here, let's just get this working because I'm getting off track of where we were.
Yep.
Where are we? What were we doing? Okay, we were testing out if this question mark thing would go away, but I don't think this will because we're always going to have a
get rid of
method,
everything.
I guess. Yeah, once we have this.
Yeah, and then type A and delete.
Right. Cool. Awesome.
Nice.
Very cool, man. Well, that was a super easy change. I mean, once we
Yeah.
actually did it, we literally replaced right here use state with use query param, and literally everything else worked. So that was pretty badass, I gotta say.
Yeah.
And so now if we were to remove all this stuff and have this really boring server that literally does nothing, and we have a patch request to /poop. Uh-oh, forgot I'm on the live stream. Hit refresh here. We should see everything, and we do. That's so cool, man. It's really cool.
Nice.
Oh, I guess, yeah. So let's just not right now worry about this length thing where we're now using the config as the limiting factor.
Yeah.
So let's just not worry about that.
Yep.
Let's just write a test for this stuff, and so we can actually deploy this. So editing the config, making a request. Where should this go?
Should we have
Loading the REPL.
It's under. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess there's two things. You want to be able to load it and know that the loading thing worked, and we want to be able to do the other side where we change things and know that the URL is shareable.
Exactly. So let's rename this. It can load. It can use a query param for the config's initial value. It can use a query param for the method. Let's just do method and URL's initial value.
Yeah. Yep.
And we're going to visit /REPL, and we're going to say method is equal to, what is the default? That sucks because I think
the defaults get. Yeah, I like this.
No, but get is annoying because it's not really testing it. I guess it's fine. Oh, the default is resource, so we can
yeah, do like patch.
Yeah, exactly. But we can't send a body. We could delete. It's fine. Let's just do. I wanted to switch the default method so that. Let's do /.
You could just do patch and something, and then assert that the value of those items are correct. / We don't have to actually send a request.
Dude, we're gonna have to change this because it doesn't feel good when you type.
It's really slow.
I can't tell actually if it's my computer or what. But yeah, I think it is slow. I think it's slow.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting point. It's true that you can speed it up in the sense that because you're literally every time you type you're stringifying the query params, navigating the URL, and then reading the new value from the URL. It's like true data down, actions up with the URL. So yeah. this might going back to what Robin said.
You're saying use state as an
intermediary
storage because it's going to be faster and not having to go all the way to the top than all the way back down.
Exactly. It can just be. You can sync it after the fact, since this is computationally more expensive.
Okay, but either way, that's an optimization.
Yes.
Like that's
an
implementation detail of this.
But if it changes, it kind of goes against what I was just saying, doesn't it? If we move writing logic to an effect. So I have to think about that.
But is it still but I think it still might be an implementation.
I think
detail.
maybe. But it's like, is there a better way to? Yeah, I don't know. Okay, users /1. Something. It feels weird. Like something that's happening is weird. All right, let's just do this thing then. So, wait until it loads. I want to press the button. Let me press the button. Type submit. Do we have like a form? No, I guess we need to add a. How do we click on a button?
I think you can.
Request, send, button, data, test ID, send request.
Yeah.
REPL spec, click. We don't have any clicks in here. Click. Come on. Is it just get.click?
Yeah, probably. Or side.click.
It'll be interesting to see how it feels on production. Yeah, get.click. Okay, cool. So it can use this right here. It dot only. Let's do that. We want to get the, what I call it, send request.
Yeah, I think so.
Click. We also want to assert that the value of the URL, I guess we'll just assert against this thing 200, invoke, and then
it actually we do want to assert the value of the URL, because even if it, like, the state was stored and it worked, but the user didn't see it.
Yeah, it'd be a bug. Yep. JSON dot. So what is the actual response here? It's JSON.user. To, can I do like deep equal or something? I just want to just to say exists, really. Just to say exists.
Yeah, I think there's like with the thing where you should and you use like the string. Look under assertions. It's the assertions tab. Assertions right there on the left. And this is going to be the page. It's like everything. I think we're using chai, so
to exist. Okay. We'll make sure that there's a failing test here.
Okay.
What's the problem?
Exist probably needs to be a function invocation. Oh, no. Yeah. You're either going to have to use should with a string to exist, but that's for like asserting something on the page. So I think you just want to make it exist.
This is so frustrating, man.
Wait, why does that not need to be a function call?
I hate when this stuff slows me down, man.
Yeah, it's also not like we're not getting something. We have the actual object. You can say like to exist. Why don't you Google chai to exist?
To be false. I'm so confused, man.
Dude, exist needs to be a function.
Oh, ESLint. No unused expressions. Expected an assignment or function call and instead stall an expression. How is this possible?
You might need to opt into chai. There might just be like chai ESLint rules or like Mocha ESLint rules that we can just not get in trouble for this.
Dude, this stuff, it drives me up a wall. I don't know. I've heard the words chai and mocha latte a million times, and I never can keep them straight in my freaking mind. I have no idea like what they are.
One's a test runner.
You said this like 10 times, but it doesn't. It's
one brings along the functions like describe, test, and it.
I'm not going to remember the difference
other-
between them.
The other is an assertion library. It's so
What about
stupid that they're
context?
split.
What is context? BDD, TDD? Describe a suite with
that. Yeah, that's part of like BDD. That would be the test runner's job. So that would be that would be Mocha or Cypress.
I don't know anymore. You're just saying words. Mocha, latte. All right, let's just get this thing working, man. I don't know. They're showing me that this works right here, but it doesn't. So
wait. It
can we
works.
just assert?
It works. You're just wait. Hold on. It does work, right? The test pass. It's just ESLint, right? Because the ESLint doesn't know that this thing is running code. So we just need to opt into like, we need to tell ESLint that this is like a test file, and ESLint probably allows these things in test files. Yeah. I think the issue here is like Chai is just so freaking clever and gives you this syntax. Shy friendly. Oh my god. Yeah, it's bad.
everything was going great until this minute.
Also, should I create a calendar event now for 2 years from now when called like a what the fuck is Chai friendly?
Yeah, exactly. Plugins. I mean, can I put this
to
or you can add it as a recommended config extends. Why don't I do that since we already have an extends key?
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh my gosh, dude, this stuff absolutely slays me, dude.
Yeah.
Is it still installing? Yeah, there it goes. Okay, the test pass, let's check this out. So to exist, and we want to assert against the URL. So the field. So REPL request, where's the URL? Right here, data test ID request URL. So we can say, man, the first tests are always so hard because like I just need to copy and paste. Why are these things, they're just so bad, man.
What is so bad? Explain.
Dot should, and it's a first argument. Like it's just like, why not just make it assert and like first thing equals a second thing, or better yet, the thing is like just true. Like assert is just the only assertion function you get, and it takes one value, and if it's true it passes, and if it's false it doesn't.
Yeah.
And then you just use like array dot includes like and you use JavaScript. Like this is so effing stupid.
No, because this is weird because this is running on the other iframe. So that's why like we're using like strings here. That's why we're not doing like get dot contains. I think.
Well, you can do the dot then and do it like that, you know. That's what we do right here.
Yeah.
No,
yep.
I think people
Yep.
I think people are like developers are masturbatory over this kind of syntax, and it's just it's ridiculous to me. Users /1, right?
Yeah. By the way, there is a JavaScript assert library that we could use, and that's going to have a different syntax. And I believe that Cypress just supports it out of the box.
I want to go on the happy path.
Yeah.
Can I get this? Like selected, assert against a selected value, data test ID, request method.
Yeah, I don't know API, but
Yes, it is time to wrap up the stream, Rob. You are more than correct, my friend. Uh, it's been thank you for keeping your eye on us. It's been 2.5 hours. I told Ryan we were gonna get on for 45 minutes because I slept 3.5 hours last night. I'm on my fourth cup of coffee. I don't even know what's happening anymore. I'm looking outside. It's blue, but I've got this light blinding my eye, like the sun's right there. Um, I just want to get this test written so that we can actually open the PR and ship this, and we can start using it. Request method should contain. I mean, this is probably not going to work, but let's see if it does. Robin, man, keeping us on track. Love that guy. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Cannot show snapshot while tests are running. Expected to contain /user/1. Yeah, it's an input. We need like how do you assert against the input?
yeah, I think there's like val or something. I remember doing this. I think you want you're in the chai thing. You want to be under
have value.
Where it is.
State CSS.
Oh, it should have value. Yeah. Yep.
I mean, truly, man, could you come up with a more obtuse, like undiscoverable API? I don't know. I don't know. Did this thing go away? Oh, wow. Look at that. It actually went away. Oh, ho, ho. Wait, I want to make sure that this actually works.
You did it.
If this is like, if I get rid of this thing, I want to see a failure.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool, man. That's it,
nice.
right? Oh, we didn't have one for changing it, I guess.
Oh yeah, we want to make sure. Yeah, we want to just go in, select things, and then make sure the URL.
This should be
right.
fast because we have it. So it tracks the configs value in the URL. Tracks the configs value in the config query param. It tracks the method and URL's value in their respective query params. Oh boy, can't type anymore. Come on, we got to power through this. We got this. We got this. It dot only. Visit the REPL. How do you select something? Cypress select. It's a command.
Like Cypress drop down. By the way, when you first install Cypress, it creates a whole bunch of demos, and they have like tests for everything. So you can just like open up this thing. This is what I want. Cool. It's pretty amazing.
I'll take your word for it. Just kidding. I believe you, man. I'm being snarky. All right. Data test ID equals request method select delete.
Yeah, you need a closing brace on after methods.
Request.
Probably URL. Request URL. Yeah, request
URL. Type in users 1. Ryan's getting the axe. Sorry, buddy. And then we can do this enter thing, right?
Oh yeah.
And then the URL should include method equals delete and URL equals
we don't even need to hit enter because these should just update as we talk.
No, I know, but we want to test that
eventually the enter is going to be
that it worked. Or sorry, not enter. No, sorry. I was going to assert against the Oh wait, this is editing the config. I want this to be under making a request. Sorry, man. I wanted to.
No, I think you're in the right spot.
Right here. I already was doing this, dude. Look. We could just add an assertion right here. It's just a new assertion.
Okay.
Wait, type in users enter. It's just that you don't select the let's just update this.
I like this being its own test. We're going to turn one of these tests into like a God test if we keep adding little
Your
things
mom's
to it.
God test.
Oh yeah. What is exit?
That's like it's like a comment. It just skips it. But it shows it in the runner. It shows it. So it's like instead of writing a comment, you know how like we usually like write a bunch and then it comments it. You just do this and it will show you in the runner, but it won't. It's a no op. So it's like a to do.
It's like it dot skip or to do, but they make it really easy because we all just prefix everything
exactly
with X that we don't want to
run. And tracks method and URLs value in the respect. Okay, so you're just saying this is the only test we don't even need to submit the request.
Yeah.
Because that's a different test. All right. Fair enough.
And I think this is part of like editing the config. So I think you were in the right spot before.
Well, no. I mean, this is the request panel.
You're saying, yeah. I get it. So that's the left side of screen. This is
I guess so. I think so. Yeah, I think that's a better way to do it because this is going to get more complicated when we go to like post and stuff like that.
Yep.
Okay, This thing is not working.
Type in. It might just be type. I think type in is Ember.
Type. Dude, this is so cool, man. This is so freaking cool that this has the URL right here that is watching you type in and it's updating it. It is seriously. And now I can just press it. And it doesn't work. Oh, it did work. I just didn't press it. 404. Wait, it didn't work. Delete users 1. What's going on? I feel like that should have worked. Oh, it did work. It just didn't. The database didn't update for some reason. 204. Delete users 1. Huh. Get users. Huh. The database tab is not. Something's happening with it. I'm just curious.
Oh, we might not be. Are we synchronizing the database back after the iframe handles requests?
I think so.
I don't think.
Oh, we're only synchronizing it after you change the config.
Yeah, because we were only doing like get stuff before, but now we're gonna have delete. Yep. I think we have code in there. It's just commented out, and we need to work on our messaging system. That can be next week, though.
Why isn't this showing up? It's not showing up down here.
We might be specifically doing like response.json.
Yeah. Yep, this is an empty body. Yep, you're right. Okay.
Yeah, 204.
Cool. So this is okay, this has passed, right? Yep. So this is exactly where we can start writing some of these exits right here because we're talking about all this and we're seeing it. So making a request, editing the config. So this is going to be making a request, right? It's going to be like a delete updates the database. Really, a request updates the database. Like you like to do this, where you just kind of.
I know. I was gonna say, yeah, I do. I feel like I'm bad with it, and I always miss stuff.
But it's while we're thinking about it, it's fine because this next time we stream and work on it, it's like, what do you want to work on? Oh, just pick off the next exit.
We have this. This would be a really, really good habit.
Yeah, I agree. So a request updates the database. A delete request shows, it shows the in the response panel. Really, the whole response panel needs a lot like of nested work and stuff like that, but it's fine. I mean, these are just the things that are top of mind that came up, right?
Yep. Yeah, because like we're going to need to handle 204, 201. How do we handle those non-JSON 200 response codes?
And then we need to also do like I can set a patch, a request body for patch post delete. Cool.
Interesting. Is delete supposed to have a
body? It can have a body.
Code?
Yep. Get doesn't have a body, but no, get can't have a body.
Okay. Huh. All right. How you feeling?
Let's see if this whole thing passes. 2.5 hours, man.
I like it. I feel like we make a bunch of progress.
Yeah, me too. Awesome. Add tests. Go, go, go. Cannot show snapshot. This is really fun to watch this. Depends on your definition of fun, I guess.
Yeah, you must be out of stuff on Netflix.
That's what I do all weekend, man. Can't go outside. Just sit here, watch my test suite pass over and over again. I am low energy today. I can tell. I'm gonna have to bring my A game next time. Make up for this show.
Dude, this is to bring my joke book. I like every stream that we accomplish.
Ryan's like, I like it when you're low energy, so you don't act like such an idiot the entire time. Only half the time. I have to deal with it the rest of the day. See, it just does these cool little things here, like to-dos. Isn't that fun?
Yeah, that is very cool.
Awesome, man. Look at that. You know what I'm going to do next? PF this mofo. Boom. Click this link right here. Boom. This is my new flow. Boom.
Oh, right, because you merged this, because no more long-lived branches.
Exactly, dude. This is about to get merged. You're dang right it is. This thing is going to be live in 20 minutes. Pretty cool, man. I mean, this thing is already useful. It just got even more useful.
Dude, that's great. So we have GitHub. GitHub runs our Cypress tests? We set that up?
You set that up.
Nice. I forgot that I...
yeah, it's pretty fast, man. Check this out.
Oh, that's right. I did this when I had Percy, right, to just snapshot Cypress, because that's pretty close to what we actually want in our snapshot tests.
Yeah. This is going to fail because we're out of minutes for Percy this month.
I got an email about that. Okay.
What was I just going to say? The one thing I did want to fix that we didn't, it was literally the thing you asked about, and we didn't fix it. So that kind of sucks. But
the button press.
Yeah, when you first load REPL, it's like, this is super confusing. So we'll do that next. We'll default it. Dude, wouldn't it be cool? So check this out. Wouldn't this be neat, man? Close all this ish. So this default snippet here is coming from like what tutorial snippets, starting input. Wouldn't this be cool if you could have like, you know, front matter or something and do like, you know, verb, get, URL, boom, and then, you know what I'm saying? So like your example can...
So this is like a data. This would be like a database row.
Yes.
Right here, basically. Yeah. Yes. Very cool.
Oh, I wasn't thinking about a database row in Mirage. Is that what you mean?
No. I'm thinking this starting input.md is like a database entry. It's just stored on disk in a markdown file.
Yes.
But it describes the entire state of
the inspector of the REPL.
Yeah. This would be great.
So like users 2 and then body, you know, and it would be like, we could do this somehow, right? But so when you pull this up, cool, right? Name Ryan 2, and then you load this entire thing. whatever, however we would do this. And then the whole REPL just loads like this, and you can just press the send button and see how the server works.
Yeah, this is great. I wonder what like the best, like JSON would be an awesome format for this, but it would JSON, it sucks editing JSON. Yeah, exactly, something like this. You could use like MDX, AST.
Yep.
But that's
you know that guy.
Yeah. I mean, this isn't that bad.
Kind of sucks.
Matters.
I think MDX.
So
yeah.
You could the post body is just a data structure, so you could describe that in YAML, but no one wants to do that.
Yeah.
All right, so you could have body, colon.
I think we just do. Why don't we just do this? Like, we can parse this ourselves. This is completely up to us.
Yep. There's something very friendly about the markdown headings.
Yeah, I know. I agree. And then you can also, it's cool because you could do like this is the request. Like you could explain it almost.
Yeah.
Here's the server. It defines a model and some initial data. And we just like ignore all this when we actually load it up. But this way on disk, like you can make it. That's kind of cool, you know?
You know who might do a good job of this is like GitHub issue templates. Isn't there a lot of data that you can define in them and like comments and or those, is that just like literally what's in the text area when someone opens an issue?
I don't know. I think it's what's in the text area. Robin said you can use JSON and YAML.
Oh.
How does that work? Like this?
Go find some like YAML editor.
Because then you could just do this kind of thing. It's pretty interesting.
I don't. Yeah.
It's weird. I hate YAML. It's too easy to mess it up.
And it also just looks like you're shoving. I like the markdown. I don't know. There's something that's inviting. Like, oh, I actually want to edit this.
Yeah, I agree. This is pretty cool that we can do this too. All right, test passing. Let's see over here. It's a subset. Yeah, he said. Okay, cool. Everything is passing except for Percy. So I'm going to merge this. Wait, why did this fail? Oh, valid JSON with strings. Yeah, got you. Oh, it did fail, but it's okay because it's the free plan and the actual yarn test passed. So I'm going to just merge this in. I guess we need to figure out a way to easily disable that.
I know this is the thing I was complaining about on the podcast, right? Where it's like
Dependabot.
You get all this stuff for free, but it does make your ops setup harder.
Yeah, there has to be a flag we can pass, an environment flag that says this was opened by Dependabot. I mean, you almost want them to do that for you. Like you almost want them to automatically ignore, especially because Dependabot is built into GitHub now, you know?
I know. I think like if you, I'm going to be cynical, but I think if you're running a CI service, you're like, Dependabot? What? Your usage is going to go up 10x? Please.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. You're saying it's in their interest.
Yeah, I don't know. We have to do some research. It is very annoying, and it does feel like it pushes more work onto us. So I and I do believe that these CI services have developers' best interests in mind.
Yeah.
So there is probably something we can do.
Mm-hmm.
I do like Netlify. Netlify just charges us like $6 when we go over the limit. And I really like that approach because we're paying for usage and it's not like a big commitment of a ton of minutes or hours. It's just, every time we go over, it's like $6.
Right.
It's like truly pay as you go. Where with like with CI services and with like Percy, I kind of have to like stare at the screen and figure out how much do I want to pay and so on.
Right. Interesting. This guy's cooking along. Robin said Zeit. I was just thinking the same thing actually when you said that about Netlify, because I was like, wait, I read this announcement earlier and I remember telling myself, I think I'm supposed to use Zeit for everything for the rest of my life. And so like, does that mean we need to switch all of our Netlify properties off of Vercel? Yeah. Off of Netlify and onto Now and stuff, because they're just, I don't know, a little bit more aligned. Netlify is cool, but is it as cool as Zeit?
Yeah, because that's what we go for. How cool it is.
That's the only thing to go for, man. Deployed in 4 minutes and 28 seconds. So I wish this showed me the time elapsed.
Yeah.
4 minutes is pretty good.
One thing I like about Netlify is all the, and maybe Zeit has all this, but all the DNS hosting, the SSL certificate hosting, how that's all built into this.
Yeah. Oh, wait, I think I'm showing this. Oh, that's funny. I put one of his comments up on the stream. I'm still learning how to stream, everyone. I'm still learning. I'm sure that they do all that stuff. I have to imagine.
Yeah.
By the way, incremental builds would be really cool, The fact that we're reparsing like the Mirage.js API docs as part of this and we literally just changed REPL. I just want to rebuild REPL. That's all I want to do.
Dude, the fact that we're literally reinstalling every node module and not,
But actually in our case, the index, the index.js file changes because everyone points to the same bundle and now it's changed, hasn't it?
What do you mean by bundle? Everyone points.
Like even /about will change because it pulls in the app bundle since we do SPA style single bundle for Mirage.js. So every page is invalidated.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with like rebuilding every page. It's the yarn install.
Yeah.
All like the image stuff we're doing in Gatsby, which isn't a lot, but like that stuff didn't change.
Yeah.
The purge CSS, that stuff didn't change. And
let's see, 548 and 548.49. Okay, just finished, I think. 548.49. By the time it finished, it took 82 seconds.
Yeah, because that's
ridiculous.
Like, this is like brand new container, yarn install. I think there's maybe a way to carry over like the node modules directory between builds, and you can like fingerprint package JSON to determine if you need to yarn install again, because you really only ever need to yarn install if package JSON changes.
Yeah. See how fast the app shell was when I loaded that, and then this comes in after? It's really cool.
Wait, do it again?
Well. Thanks, Beth. Thanks for joining us. You can check it out now. It just finished deploying, so you can go to miragejs.com/REPL and see our work.
See you, Beth.
If we go to post, we see that. If we go to users, we see that. Pretty cool. We don't have a body, so our handler is going to throw, but we can delete /1, reload this bad boy, send that. That's not going to work yet because we just saw the bug.
204.
Pretty cool though, man. Very cool. So now I can send. That's cool. You get the 404 because we just deleted it. So now you can open this up, paste that bad boy in right there. Cool. We can improve some of this UI like that. Just that came in like asynchronously. Also, like this shouldn't be enabled until the loading is done. The loading indicator needs some work, so we definitely have some polish to go. But this is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. We shipped a feature. I love it.
Yeah. Nice.
It's pretty awesome. And we have a cool hook.
Hey, I think for next week we should take one of those questions where you would answer someone's question with this, and just work to get that to make you able to answer a question. Wow, I am losing it.
You're tapped out.
A question that you would answer, we should improve the inspector, the REPL, so that you can answer it. So something like find a question where someone has about a post body, and that can be our motivation.
Yeah. Or go back to one of our recent ones that I did answer. See what I did, which was like paste this config in, and then press this button, and then look at that database tab. So yeah, I totally agree. The other thing, man, there's so many little ideas. Even when I was doing that identity manager thing today, I was like, I really want snippets in here. Even when I was defining a route handler, like if I'm in routes, or even if I push a button or something, like this.get, and it just expands a function, and it just makes it super easy to add functions. So like snippets could be really cool.
Nice.
Yeah, so lots of ideas there. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. That was fun. It's really fun to do this live. It makes it way cooler, and it's motivating, and we get work done every time. So it's pretty cool. Thanks for joining. We're going to be back next week for sure.
See ya.
All right. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.